I'm delighted to introduce once again Nobel laureate Daniel Shechtman, and he is going to speak about the Israeli experience in tackling water challenges and solutions. So I turn the stage over to Dan Shechtman.
Thank you. So, good afternoon, everybody. And my presentation, please. Take your time, take your time. Okay, so my talk is about water issues and solutions and the Israel experience. I am talking about one part of the world. I'm talking about the Middle East. I'm not covering the whole world. I'm just covering one corner of the world in which the water issues are critical, and it's a good example to many other places in the world. My name is Daniel Shechtman. I'm from the Technion, Haifa, Israel. Usually I live there. I'm also a member of the Iowa State University in Ames, Iowa, in the United States. So, what are the issues? First issues, a drying world. We are living in a dry world. I know that there are floods in the world also, but in general, the temperature rise and the world is drying. On this map, you see the red part of the world. You can recognize where Japan is, and Israel is on the east side of the Mediterranean. And you see that the red part is really, really in troubles. And the yellow is less troubles, and the rest, no troubles of drying out. So why is it important for the world to understand water issues in the Middle East, Africa, and other countries? Why is it important? Water scarcity means dry fields and death of cattle in rural areas. It happened. It's not imaginary. It happened, and the results were terrible. Farmers, in this case, desert the villages and crowd the city. They go to the city for water and for food for their families. As food availability is low, price of staple food goes up. The food is more expensive because the farmers don't produce anymore, to a point in which people go hungry. And when people go hungry, the result is social pressure and social instability that leads to internal wars. It happened. And consequently, terrible deaths and waves of refugees. Many stay as refugees in their countries. Syria is a terrible such example. But others go to neighboring countries and to Europe for food, water, and livelihood. This is a map of the Middle East. The blue is the east side of the Mediterranean. You can see Israel down there on the left. Above it, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq. Egypt is on the lower left, and on the lower right is Saudi Arabia. And in the north, there is Turkey. All these countries are involved in the issues that I'm going to talk about, all of them. Let's talk about Syria. Here is Syria. Below it, you see Lebanon and Israel. A 2006 drought pushed Syrian farmers to migrate to urban centers, setting the stage for massive uprising against the government. The results estimated 500,000 people dead, killed by the government, and millions of refugees seek help. The drought continues today, and there is no relief in sight. So the war in Syria continues today. We talk about a period from 2006, terrible. Iraq. The two great rivers of Iraq, the Tigris and the Euphrates, I will talk about these two rivers. You can see them on the map. You can see that they come from Turkey. The two of them come from Turkey, from the big mountains of Turkey, a lot of rain in Turkey, and the two rivers flew for millions of years, and for thousands of years they provided livelihood to the people of Iraq. These are two very famous rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. Today, one can walk across parts of these rivers. They are so dry, you can go walk across today. Horrible. Egypt. Egypt, the mighty Nile River, it's the longest river in the world, is threatened by rising sea level because much of the Nile Delta, as you can see the delta there, is only 1 meter above sea level. If the water level in the world rises 1 meter, the delta of the Nile in Egypt is covered with seawater. This means death to Egypt. Simple like that. 100 million people will have no food. 1 meter is coming. The rise in price of food results in social unrest also in Egypt. And so, we see that drought results in civil wars, human misery, and waves of refugees. This is issue number one. However, there is potentially a greater danger. And lurking behind is conflicts between countries, not in the countries, between countries, that may lead to wars, and this is because of dams. What happens in general is that the countries that produce, that they have the source of water, block the water. They build dams. So instead of a river, you create a lake. And around the lake, you create agriculture and sometimes hydroelectric power. So the countries in which have the source of the water block the water by dams. That means that no water come down. And that is drought to the countries underneath. And this is the case in several places. Turkey, in the north, as you can see here, builds now more than a dozen dams as part of the southeastern Anatolia project, which is one of the biggest irrigation and electrical power schemes in the world. What do? They block the water. Later on, part of the water will continue to flow. Part of it will be used by agriculture around the dams. So less water that will flow. But as they build the dam, the water stops until the lake is filled. This is Turkey. And you can see on the map that they block the two great rivers that eventually go to Syria and Iraq. Syria has built the Kuban Dam on the Euphrates River, affecting supply to Iraq. So Iraq, which is at the end of these two great rivers, suffers a lot. Egypt. Now, on the picture you see the Nile. There are two sources to the Nile River. The white Nile comes from Lake Victoria. The blue Niles come from the mountains of Ethiopia. Now, Ethiopia wants to build a big dam to develop agriculture around it and to produce hydroelectricity. So they started to build a dam. Egypt is afraid that this will limit the amount of water that go down to the Nile. They threatened to create war. They threatened to go to war against Ethiopia. Great tension. Right now they reached some balance and the war didn't break out, but it was on the verge of a war because of the dam on the blue Nile in Ethiopia. This is issue number one. Issue number two is water waste. Water is wasted. How is it wasted? Flood irrigation. Can you imagine that you flood fields with billions of cubic meters of water to irrigate the field. It's a terrible waste. It has been done like this for thousands upon thousands of years. In the beginning of the agricultural revolution 12,000 years ago, this is the way they water the fields. And flood irrigation is extremely wasteful because most of the water evaporates. Flood irrigation in Limpopo province in South Africa. South Africa, you can see the flood irrigation. This is in Egypt, flood irrigation, terrible waste of water. And this is flood irrigation in Australia, modern Australia flood irrigation. Okay, they have pumps, but they pump the water and send them into the field. Flood irrigation was used before the availability of sprinklers. Then, when aluminum pipes became available, sprinkler irrigation became popular. And here is an example of sprinkler irrigation. This is better. However, although the use of sprinkler is less wasteful than flood irrigation, electricity for water pumps and means to bring up the water is not available everywhere in the world. You need electricity to pump up the water, and you need to keep it high, so there is pressure for the sprinklers. That is not available everywhere in the world. Okay? However, although the use of sprinklers is less wasteful than flood irrigation, aluminum pipes are not enough. Also needed is electricity, as I mentioned, for water pumps and means for high storage of water. And that is not available in many parts of the world, especially in primitive part of the world. That is not available. So they continue to do flood irrigation. These are the issues. What are the solutions? First solution, drip irrigation. Drip irrigation is invented and widely used in my country, in Israel. I will show you a picture of how it works. Every plant receives the exact amount of water it needs. If the plant needs 20 drops of water, the plant will get 20 drops of water. No more. The plant doesn't need any more. The fertilizers come with the water. They are mixed with the source of the water. No drop is wasted. And here is an example of such system. You see at the top of the picture, you see a tank of water and fertilizers, and there is a pump that brings the water there. The pump is on the right upside. And down is the field with the pipes of drip irrigation. Every plant is given the right amount of water and fertilizer that the plant needs, no more. And there is no evaporation, and water is not wasted at all. This is a fantastic way to grow crops, and I'll show you examples. Here's an example of field by drip irrigation. The plants are very happy. Every plant gets exactly what it needs. Everything was fine. Not only small plants. This is a sugarcane project in Peru, South America. And Netafim is the name of the company that sells them the drip irrigation system. Netafim drip irrigation system. So this is what? 4 meters, 5 meters high by drip irrigation. Okay, it works. Tomatoes. A net greenhouse in Los Pinos, Mexico, the largest greenhouse tomato project in the country of Mexico, the largest. Developed by Israeli Netafim, the same company, drip irrigation and greenhouse technology. So you see that they grow huge amount of tomatoes by drip irrigation. Not a drop is wasted, and the tomatoes are very happy. They also grow flowers. This example is in Israel. They grow flowers also by drip irrigation, and these flowers are for export to Europe. This is solution number one, drip irrigation. Solution number two, clean home and industrial use of water for reuse in agricultural irrigation. Clean the wastewater. Okay, Shafdan in Israel, Shafdan is the name of the plant, and this is how it looks like. Right? They collect the sewer from the central part of the country, and here are the numbers, cleaning urban and industrial wastewater for agricultural use. Every drop of water that has been used in our bathroom is sent to this plant to be purified. 2.5 million residents and 7,000 industrial plants receive 24/365 service in the Tel Aviv area. Tel Aviv is a large city in the center of of Israel, but not only the city of Tel Aviv, the surrounding cities also. And 130 million cubic meters of wastewater are cleaned every year. This is a large amount, okay? 130 million cubic meters of wastewater. 70% of agricultural water in the south of Israel are such reclaimed clean water. 70% of the agriculture in the south is watered by reclaimed clean water. One of the reasons for the high quality of Shavdan clean water is the fact that the water stays underground, sand for several years because they pump down. They clean the water, they send it down the sand, pick it up 5 years later, by now it's purified. Good for drinking, but nobody drinks this water, but they water agriculture. Third solution, seawater desalination. Let's hurry up. So this is the map of Israel, and there are 5 desalination plants. Next year, there will be a 6th one, which has started to build. 2 years from now, 2025, number 7. By that time, Israel, the 5 Israeli desalination plants produce 385 million cubic meters of water every year now. This is amounting to 70% of all the water supplied to households in the countries. 70% of the water we drink and use to wash is desalinated water now. The 2 new desalination plants are in construction in Israel. First, 2023, second, 2025. In 2 years, 100% of all the water needed in Israel will be desalinated. 100%, independent of rain. We don't care if there is rain. We have 100% of water desalinated. 1 million cubic meters of water, 1 billion per year. Water became a commodity. We sell water. We sell water to Jordan. Israel sells 100 million cubic meter desalination water per year to Jordan at the price of 65 cents per cubic meter. This is what our government charged the Jordanian government for every cubic meter of desalinated water. Our government pays the producer in Israel 40 cents per cubic meter of desalination plants. What do I pay at home? I pay $3 per cubic meter at home for desalinated water for my use. So this is the story, and desalinating ship is an idea for emergency cases. Some place loses water, and it happened in recent years in several places. Let us build, I will not read this, let us build a ship that has power generator on it, that has desalination plant on it. The ships come to the city. City doesn't have to do anything, just to provide a pipe. We send water to the city and sell it for a price. But in emergency situation, this is a wonderful solution. Thank you all very much.